Okay, are there any general questions about this class? And don't all speak up at once now.
None so far.
Okay, so let's touch on the lab lecture schedule. Um, the interesting thing is we have Monday off. That's part of Labor Day. Um, Now, because the lecture is online, and I don't like giving online tests, all of our tests will be in the lab. So, for example, on the week of the 15th, September 15th, will be your first test. Um, Now, I introduced a while ago. Oh, by the way, labs one, two, and three are not in your lab packet. They will be available online because I found the dry labs were kind of didn't help students very well. So I redesigned them and they're much more specific to lectures. So Dry Lab Zero is a review. I'm going to be going over that today. Dry Lab Zero is a review from 305 on doing Lewis structures. Every day you're going to be drawing structures in this class. So it's really important to understand how to create these structures. So that's what I'm going to cover today. Um, and then on Wednesday, we're going to start OChem, which starts off with simple alkanes. Okay, so anyway, this is the lab schedule. Revision 1.0, and it may change. Another thing is you're going to have a project in this class, just like you did in 305 with most teachers. I don't know if all the teachers do it, but I know a lot of the 305 teachers do a project. Um, Now the projects are not drug related unless you want them to be drug related. They have to be chemistry, organic, or biochem related. And it's going to be a poster and a 1,000 word accompanying essay. So think of the poster as the media for your essay. For example, could be on nutritional aspects of omega-3 fatty acids, or it could be a whole host of things. Could be one person did it on the chemistry of dying and why does rigor mortis set in? Why does it go away? Um, Another person did it on hormones related to depression and mania. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of possibilities. Anyway, during uh, October 20th, you're going to be submitting your projects. You can do it before then, but those projects are going to be due. Just the subject, not the whole project. You can turn in your projects early too, by the way, but I just need the topics by then. Because I found in the past, people don't choose their topics till the last week of the semester. So this way I'm giving you very easy 10 points credit for it. And so it'll be very easy. Can be a one sentence deal. That's all you need to do. And then you can revise that. But I want you to put a stake in the ground and choose a topic. Okay, so these are basically what I'm covering on these days. And the dry labs 1 and 2 cover these. Dry Lab Zero is on Lewis structures, like I was saying before. And so anyway, this is the schedule. And fall finals are weird because we're online. So it's hard sometimes to pin down what specific day we'll have them, but it will be in person. Probably be in lab, and I'll have 3 labs, or 2 labs, I mean, um, to cover that. Anyway, that's a long ways off. Okay, so anyway, this is lecture and laboratory. Now, you're going to find the labs are divided into two kinds of labs. I believe it's the same in 305. You have dry labs and wet labs. Dry labs you may do at home. You can do at school as well. I'll be there to help you if you need it. But you can do them, and you can also do them in groups. You can also do them outside the lab in the tables around the lab room also. And I have due dates pretty far out. Normally, I give everyone
Good.
at least a
That's good
week.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
My bad. My bad.
Was that a question?
No, sorry. I was having internet problems and I joined off mute and somebody had said what's up to me. My fault.
Okay, well, the good news is if you're having internet problems, I do record the videos. So even if you have some pieces missing, you can go back to the video, fill in everything. I also have past, I'm going to show you in a minute here in Canvas, but I have past semesters available as well. So you can go back to last semester, for example, look at the same topic and see how it's different, and because I don't say the same thing each time. The slides are the same. And I'll talk about what I mean by the slides in a minute. Okay, so anyway, this is the lab schedule. The first test everyone thinks is very hard, but actually it's the easiest. You're going to be going on like test 2 and test 3 and looking back on test 1 and going like, oh my God, that's so easy. It's just that it's very different because there's no math in this class. No math, other than counting carbons in a backbone of the molecule. That's about as hard as the math gets. Okay, are there any questions about the lab schedule and lecture schedule? Okay, so let's talk about the syllabus now. Now, on the syllabus, it's like really, really long. I think it's 9 pages, something crazy like that. Basically, there are two things students want to know on the syllabus. That's how to get a hold of me and how I grade. Everything else is like boilerplate you can read later. Also, there's student learning objectives here that students don't care about, and that this is important when you're um, having a prerequisite for a class at another school. Usually they want to see the syllabus to make sure that the learning objectives match their learning objective requirements at their end. But as far as the students go, this is not all that pertinent. Okay, so I do have office hours on Zoom by appointment. I say Tuesday, Thursday here, but it can be anytime. I teach Friday, Saturday up at Sierra, and I teach a similar to a Chem 300 class up there, and I've been doing that for like 5 years. Same with down here, I've been teaching at Sac City for about the same length of time. Let's see. The easiest way to email me is through Canvas, and otherwise use Outlook. Now, if you're going to send me attachments, use Outlook. Sending attachments in Canvas messaging is real flaky. And over the years, it hasn't gotten better. It's basically the same. So I always recommend using Outlook. And you're going to need my direct email address, where in Canvas it goes directly. Okay, so our lecture is going to be officially 12 to 2:20 Monday, Wednesday online with Zoom. And they usually don't go all the way to 2:20. Usually they're hour and a half, 2 hours long, not 2.5 hours long. But sometimes it'll go longer, but most of the time it doesn't. Okay, okay, so that's how to get a hold of me. I don't see my phone number here. I don't know why it's not on here. If you want to text me, you may do that also. And this is my That's 7:07. Lots of sevens. Feel free to text me. I stay up very late, so you can text me. I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll probably still be up. So I don't have a problem with that. I check all this stuff fairly often. I live by myself with my 3 dogs, and I play a lot of instruments. I really enjoy music. So, in fact, I was fetzing around with my piano just before I got online with you guys. Okay, so that's how to get a hold of me. I try to answer emails and stuff promptly. I teach this class like if I was taking my class, and I would like my test graded sooner than later. I'd like my teacher to respond to me, you know, sooner than later, particularly if there's a problem with a test or something like that. Okay, this is my grading policy. If you take all 5 tests, do all the labs, turn them in, but you don't do so well, um, I'll give you a C, regardless if you got a D or whatever. The problem is C is usually too low for transfer, but you certainly won't get anything lower than a C. Now, if you miss tests and stuff like that, it's totally different story. That's if you take all the tests, turn in your project, and do your labs. I give out C's. So, by the way, regarding the labs, you'll like the labs in this class. They're very like we're going to be making soap. We're going to be distilling orange rinds for their essential oils. We're going to be using that to put in the soap we make to make it fragrance, smell nice. We're going to be synthesizing aspirin from scratch. And anyway, a lot of good stuff. Most people really like the labs. Okay. Now, I really like the textbook. And over the years, I've noticed that the 305 instructors is the same book you get in 305. But most of the time, the instructors don't require it. So most students don't have the textbook. So I changed it over to optional. It's a very good book. Get it used if you can, or rent it. Don't buy it outright unless you really like to keep your books. As far as required materials, safety goggles. Now, the safety goggles you use in 305 should be fine. If you don't have a pair, you didn't take 305 on this campus, they need to be indirectly vented or chemical splash proof. I recommend buying them on Amazon, and this is the brand Uvex, and the model is Stealth. I have a pair that I've used for 10 years, and they still work fine. They're $13-ish, plus tax. Prime, if you have Prime, and the shipping will be free. And you need those for the wet labs, not the dry labs. You also need closed foot shoes. That means the front and back of the shoes need to be covered. I usually use the boiling water test. If you pour hot water on your shoes, will you be uncomfortably burning like sensation? If not, those are fine. You will need a lab coat also. Now, on the home screen on Canvas, you saw my lab coat. Obviously, it's not white. And what I do is I allow students to do extra credit for decorating their lab coat. A lot of students will tie-dye them. A lot of them will embroidery on the lab coat. They'll use fabric markers to draw little doodles on it. Anyway, I give you 10 lab points if you do one. there's there's an assignment you click on and you upload the picture. And it's a good way to get extra lab points in case you miss a lab. And labs are worth 10 points, and so you get points worth a lab. It's totally optional, and you need to finish it by the end of the semester to get credit for it. Okay, so anyway, those are the required items: goggles, closed-toed shoes, lab coat. Okay,
Professor, I have a question.
yeah,
For Wednesday lab, do you want us to wear closed-toed shoes for the first time we go, or do you
no,
want us?
because it's a
Okay.
dry lab.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Only wet labs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You can wear flip-flops on Wednesday.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, let's see.
I also had a quick question, Professor.
Yeah,
That brand for the goggles, that was it. You wrote UVEX, like UVEX, right?
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. And the most popular model is Stealth. And they come in different colors. Um, they're subtly different. You know, one's a gray frame, the other's a blue frame. You know, that doesn't matter. It's the reason why we specify that brand is we've tested about 2 years ago the inexpensive chemical splash proof goggle, and they didn't work very well. Like you can go to Home Depot for $4 and buy chemical splash proof. Those are the ones that didn't work. They're very uncomfortable and they don't seal against your face. Because chemical splash proof, if you get liquid on your face, you want it sealed and not touching your eyes. Well, these failed in that regard. So we at the storeroom bulletin board outside that big giant window, there's a QR code to go directly to Amazon where you can buy it directly. You can also rent them. I think they're $1 or $2. I think it used to be, I think $2, maybe a long time ago it was $1. But anyway, so if you forget yours, you can rent them, not a problem at all. So did that answer your question?
I just have one more question. Do we have lab today as well?
We
At
have
the
dry lab today.
oh, okay.
Now, if you can't attend, you can do the dry lab at home. Remember dry
Oh,
lab?
so we don't have to come in?
For dry labs,
Yes.
well, it would be nice if you came in,
Uh-huh.
but no, you don't have to come in.
Oh, thank you.
Some people drive a fair distance to get there because they're interested in the dental school here, and they're closer to Sierra, but they like Sac City because they want to apply to the school here. So they'll drive, you know, sometimes like an hour and a half one way because they're in the foothills east of Rockland there, and they still drive all the way down here where they come up from Stockton. That's another hour and a half, 2 hours one way. So I like to give the option of doing dry labs at home. That's why. Just trying to accommodate my students as best I can. Okay.
I have a
Yeah.
hi. So for the goggles, can I take the goggles that I used last semester for 305 to see if they're okay? Because I wear glasses and those are the ones that kind of fit over my glasses comfortably.
Yeah. There's a trick because I wear glasses too. There's a trick if you wear glasses and when you try to put on the goggles, it doesn't fit. If you take the goggles off and then put your glasses inside, then put everything back on, it fits fine. Even for glasses that seemingly are too big. But when we do our next time you come to lab, bring them with you and we can talk.
Okay, thank you.
Those will probably be fine because 305 requires the same goggle requirement as 306. Okay, I mentioned the research project. That's going to be something that you should be interested in. Some people do it dental related because they're going into the dental field. Other people have had a disease in their family or themselves, and they like to study that. Like one person up at Sierra, she had a horse accident, and she fell, and the horse fell on her, and ended up messing up one of her legs really badly. So she had a limp, and she ended up doing her project on how the brain responds to that from a biochemical perspective. And she really enjoyed learning about all that. Had to do with calcium response in the muscle. And it was very interesting. So, disciplinary actions, that's cheating. You all know about that. I encourage you to work in a study group. There is a ton of research to support student achievement in study groups. And it really helps because in the study group, and you can meet on campus, you can meet at Starbucks across the street or whatever. It doesn't matter where. Even Zoom sessions you can do. But it really helps you master this topic. Now, this class is going to be very, very different from 305. Very different. And you might in the beginning be kind of to get your feet wet in what's going on, kind of wandering around going, wow, what's going on? What's going on? So anyway, so highly encouraged to join a study group or create one. Okay, now attendance. I don't take attendance because I don't teach, this is not a middle school class. It's a college class. And attendance is optional, except for tests in wet labs. Those are the only times I require your attendance. And so it's a big deal if you miss either one of those. But as far as lectures go, you may do everything via videos. I don't think it's as effective, but you can do everything via videos. And I'm going to show you a technique which works very successfully in this class. It's a little more work, but it's very, very successful. Okay. All right. All my tests are 100 points, percentage points. And the last test is going to be the final. And that's every test is a comprehensive test because it builds on prior materials. So every test except for test one is like a final because it builds on cumulative materials. So the final test is mostly biochemistry on carbohydrate and lipid metabolism. But so I don't have an official final. I have a midterm that's acting as the final. Your project is worth a test, 100 points. Labs are 10 points apiece. The lab waiver and safety contract, you've probably filled out in 305. Is going to be 10 points apiece. Very, very quick, easy 20 points you'll get for those. Take you 30 seconds apiece to do if you're slow. Okay, and I do round up, by the way. So an 89.5 is an A because it rounds to 90%. Just FYI. Okay, if you have an accommodation, make sure you talk with me regarding that. Okay, it's important not to get behind because it's really hard. This is supposed to be tentative course outline instead of tentative course outline. And these are the chapters we're covering in the textbook. And okay, so that's it on admin, which is really pretty standard. Most classes I teach, I do the same introduction on the syllabus and the lab and lecture schedule. Okay, so you've been good on asking questions. Most of the time on a Zoom session lectures, I don't get a lot of questions. Okay, All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start on this review from 305. All right, as I said before, you're gonna be drawing structures starting today for the rest of the semester.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
I actually have a question back about the syllabus, and because I'm on the wait list, I didn't get the syllabus via email or anything. Is that something that is shared with only the enrolled students, or something that you can send out via email regardless?
Yeah, did you ask for an ad number?
I did not, but I would love one.
I'll give you one right now.
Awesome.
What about Monday versus Wednesday lab?
Right now I'm waitlisted in the Wednesday lab.
Which one do you want?
Wednesday, sure.
Which day?
Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. 11, 32, 11.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. And what's your first name?
Connor Crone.
I saw your email.
Perfect.
Okay. You should, as soon as you enroll, it takes about, I don't know, 15 minutes to get onto Canvas, and then you'll have access to the syllabus and the lab schedule.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
If you don't get access right away, send me an email and I'll send it to you. And when you send me the email, send me your well, if you want to do an Outlook, it's no problem sending attachments. But if you're just using Canvas alone for messaging, send me your private email and I'll send it to that.
Okay, understood. Thank you again.
Sure.
Professor, would that work for me too, since I'm on the wait list?
I don't know.
Same here.
Who are you?
My name is Ashley. I emailed you earlier today.
Didn't I send you one?
You sent me the link for the Zoom, and that's all I got.
Oh, all right. Which lab, Monday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay.
Can I add that one too? I'm for Wednesday too.
Why not?
Sorry.
Okay, so
The flood
Ashley.
begins.
That's all right, you guys. Ashley, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
110160. So that's
Okay.
110160.
Perfect. Thank you.
And who's the other person?
Aaliyah Thomas.
You want Wednesday or Monday?
Wednesday, please.
Okay, that is 701 745.
Thank you.
And what was your first name again?
Aaliyah. Aliya.
Aliya.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Professor. Sorry, I know you're getting bombarded with questions. For lab today, do we have to come in the goggles and the coat or no?
No,
I'm sorry if you said it already.
dry labs are none of that, only wet labs.
Okay, thank you so much.
And you have a lot of time because the first wet lab is on alcohols and it's a ways out. I think it's like 3 weeks out or something crazy like that. So you have time.
Excuse me,
And also
Professor.
dry labs, if you food and drink and gum chewing is not allowed in lab. So during the dry lab, if you want food, drink, and gum chewing, you just go outside the lab on the tables provided out there. You can do it out there.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
I know that we're scheduled if you have Monday or Wednesday lab, but I know in my 305 class, if you couldn't make it on your lab day, you can go on a different lab day. Does this work for here or no?
Yes, it does. The only problem is with your lab partner.
Okay, I see.
So if your lab partner can switch with you, that's perfect. Otherwise, you're going to be by yourself on that other day.
Okay.
And that's one of the advantages of a Monday lab, because you can go to the Wednesday lab if something should come up. If you're in the Wednesday lab, because you can't make up wet labs because the stockroom has to put different stuff out. So if you're in a Wednesday lab, it's you're in a tough spot because you can't go to the next lab.
Oh, okay, I
Now, if
see.
you know you're gonna have problems though, you can come to the Monday lab if you know something's come up for Wednesday. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, any more ads? While we're on the topic? Okay, good. All right, so Lewis dot structures. This is a simplified Lewis dot structure. Probably in your 305 class, they had you figure out the total number of valence electrons, and this is a different approach. Okay, if you go to Canvas and there's me in my lab code. And we go to Files, Lab Related. Here's the lab safety contract you need to sign. This is the lab waiver you need to sign and upload. There are assignments for both of those. Here's the dry lab we're doing today. And basically it's, now if you haven't printed this out yet by some infinitesimally small chance, you can do it, you just log in with your laptop, tablet, or phone and just do it on another piece of paper. And basically you're just going to be practicing doing Lewis dot structures today. The rest of the dry labs are down here where it says Unit 1 dry labs. And those together count as a double lab. So Unit 1 dry labs are worth 20 points, not 10. So I don't print out the dry labs. I know in the lab there's a ton of 305 dry labs that teachers copy. The dry labs, these dry labs are not in your lab packet you purchased at the student store. These you're going to have to print off yourself, and they're about 6-ish pages long, something like that. Or you can do them by just looking at the online version and then writing on another piece of paper and then scanning that. All labs are to be scanned, wet and dry, and uploaded to the assignment. The assignment, when you click on it, will prompt you for a file. That's the PDF file you scanned of your lab. Okay, does that make sense? So for example, if we go over here to assignments, and I'm going to go into a student view. And you click on Dry Lab 0, for example. It'll say, then you say start assignment. Here's where you're going to drop your PDF file and then submit. Okay, all labs, dry and wet, are going to be done this way. Now for your wet labs, you're going to need a lab notebook. And that's a permanently bound, stitched lab notebook. And you didn't do that in 305, you just filled out worksheets. This is going to be a more formal lab write-up. In fact, in the spring, I think they're going to have me teach 305, and I'm supposed to pilot using this technique with 305. So anyway, I'm going to have a whole lecture on how to do that. So either next time or time after that, give you time to write it up, because there are 3 parts to that wet lab. There's a pre-lab, which has to be done before you come to class that day. Then there's doing the lab itself, collecting data, observations. And then there's the post-lab questions and a conclusion. And everything is due approximately a week later. So anyway, but I'm going to go into detail on that. I'll show you scans of student notebooks, etc. But you need a lab notebook. And I found out that Walmart has them very inexpensive. And they're usually, if you ask for a comp book, they know what you're talking about. They also come with grids as well. So whatever your preference is, you're going to be having to number the pages. The more expensive the lab notebooks, the pages come pre-numbered. I had a student up at Sierra whose parents were very high positions. One was in charge of the UCD medical program. And so she had tons of these leather-bound lab notebooks. And he was giving away to all his friends and everything. That's fine. All you need is $1.50 though, notebook for this class. Okay, so anyway, this is where all the dry labs that are not in your lab packet are located. Files, lab related. And also the safety contract and the waiver. Okay. Okay, are there any questions about where to find stuff? I
have a question. What are we supposed to have done before lab?
Okay, I'm going to be covering that in detail after we talk about Lewis structures.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's. Okay, so I was saying before, you're going to be doing a ton of structures in this class. And you need to be able to draw them. Now we're going to be doing them two different ways. We're going to be using a line formula that I'll show you after we do this. Now, these are examples. You're going to be given a formula, and for example, when we synthesize stuff, synthesize means you're making something. And you have starting materials called reactants, ending materials called products. And products are what you are trying to make or synthesize. Now, you're going to be drawing line structures, not just formulas. Because line structures tell you the actual structure itself. The formula doesn't. Okay, so let's start here. Basically, Dr. Lewis, 150, 180 years ago, something like that, decided that formulas by themselves was less useful than if they had a structure itself. So we decided to, since valence electrons is where the chemistry is at, not the core electrons. Valence electrons, the most outermost electrons, is where chemistry happens. Electrons come and they go. They're received and they are donated. Okay, so if we look at methane, for example, methane, formula for methane, you're gonna know these organic chemicals really intense when we get into this. So if we look at, let's do, instead of cesium, let's do carbon. So carbon has 4 valence electrons and 2 core electrons. The core electrons are extremely stable and don't enter into any reactions. So we can ignore that. All we're interested in is those 4 valence electrons. Now, if we look over here, carbon has 4 valence electrons, and there are 4 singletons as opposed to pairs. The singletons are where bonds occur, not pairs. So we have So we have 4 electrons running around here. And this is a Bohr representation of the atom, not a quantum mechanical one. So each one of those single electrons is capable of bonding. So we have 4 singletons. How many bonds can carbon have?
Also 4.
Exactly 4. Now, those bonds can be a triple bond, a double bond, or a single bond, as long as they add up to 4. Singleton electrons bond, electron pairs do not. So if we're looking at these elements up here, so carbon's got 4 singletons, 4 bonds. Hydrogen, 1 singleton, 1 bond. Oxygen, 2 singletons, 2 bonds. Nitrogen, 3 singletons, 3 bonds. And notice sulfur is the same as oxygen. Why do you think that is?
Aren't they the same because where they're placed at in the periodic table in the sense that they only have 6 valence electrons and they're trying to make 2 to make 8 to be full
Yes.
shells?
Yes. Now, when I teach periodic table organization, I talk about electron groups. Everything in a group is located vertically to one another. For example, the halogens or the alkali metals or the alkali earth metals or the noble gases. Those are all groups, and everything in the group has the same valence. Same valence means we have the same chemistry. So that's why groupings have the same chemistry, because their valence is the same. Same number of singletons, same number of pairs. So that's why sulfur is underneath oxygen in the periodic table. Phosphorus underneath nitrogen. Chlorine underneath fluorine. Underneath carbon is silicon. All those have the same valence. So all you need to know is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, because everything else falls below it. Okay, so the bottom line here, does that make sense to you guys?
So far, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little bit like confused if I'm being honest.
Say again?
I'm still a little bit confused if I'm being honest on like the dots.
Okay, the dots represent the outermost electrons.
Okay.
And in quantum mechanics, we learned that there are orbitals. For example, Bohr says you can have in the outermost orbital, you can have up to 8 electrons. But really, those are dissected into suborbitals, and each orbital can only take 2 electrons per orbital. So, for example, looking at oxygen here. Okay, there's 6 electrons there. So these guys here already fulfill the requirement for an orbital. Got 2 in it. So it can't do anything. Same with the one on the other side. This has got a singleton though. And it wants to double up. It's just more stable that way. So what happens is it's looking for another element with a singleton, like hydrogen. We get a singleton, singleton. Oh, we can form a bond.
Okay.
There's another hydrogen over there. And guess what we just formed? Water, H2O. That's what water looks like.
Got you.
Now, instead of oxygen, it could have been sulfur, H2S. It's exactly the same thing because notice sulfur is exactly like oxygen. 2 singletons, 2 pairs. So whatever oxygen does, sulfur does also. Because its valence looks the same.
And so how do you so how many orbitals will be on one chemical or one element?
It depends on how many singletons are there. Look at nitrogen. How many singletons are on nitrogen?
3.
3. So 3 bonds for nitrogen.
I see.
Because the singletons are very unstable. Stability rules in the universe. In my classes, all my classes, beginning or advanced, things go from unstable to stable, not the other way around. If you're stable, you don't need to do anything. You're already stable. But if you're not stable, like those singletons on nitrogen, you want to make them stable. You do that by hooking up with another singleton. Could be another nitrogen, another sulfur, whatever. So if you've heard of ammonia, formula for ammonia is NH3. So nitrogen has got a pair, 3 singletons, hydrogen. So this is what ammonia looks like.
Got it. Okay, I'm understanding. Okay.
There was someone else talking. What was your question? Okay, so let's go and do some of these now. All right, so the idea here is you have a formula, and here is going to be the dot structure. So this is how I teach this. The first thing you do is you put down the core element. And let's simplify this before we go any further. Let's say we're looking at CH4, methane. So the first thing you do is you put down the core element, which is carbon. And you're going to draw your single electrons. Then you put around that the other ones, the 4 H's. Each H has 1 electron. Now, the problem with organic chemistry is that we work with carbon all the time and hydrogen all the time. So I'm going to show you a shortcut way of drawing it with carbon and hydrogen so you're not writing all of these H's. Okay, so now this singleton in carbon is going to hook up with a singleton in hydrogen. And I tell everyone to draw a circle around that. So that's officially a bond. Okay, so the next question is, are there any singletons left over that are not bonded? Because again, they're very unstable. No singletons. So what we do next is draw lines to represent those bonds. So this is what methane looks like. And if you remember from 305, it's not flat, it forms a tetrahedral. Okay? So, and that's what these rules say. Connect all the atoms together with a pair of singletons, move electrons around to make sure that their number of bonds are legal. So these are steps 4 and 5, which are required to be fulfilled if you have a legal structure, a legal dot structure. Okay, each atom, except for hydrogen, has to have an octet or 8 electrons. Hydrogen's is 2 electrons. So we go over here to our methane that we did. Now, including shared electrons, carbon has 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's completed its octet. Also, carbon needs four bonds. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4. So carbon is legal. Hydrogen needs 2 electrons, and each hydrogen's got 2 shared electrons, and it only bonds once. So this is a legal Lewis structure or dot structure. And then what you do is you convert the bonds to lines. Now, let's look at let's do a Lewis structure for that. Okay, so we have hydrogens, those always go around the outside, and there are 4 of them. Which has more singletons, carbon or oxygen?
Carbon.
Carbon.
Carbon's got 4, that's right. And then oxygen goes next. Let's do that in the color. Now, one thing about Lewis structures, you can move the singletons and pairs around, doesn't matter where they're located. Just as long as they're with oxygen, as long as there are 2 pairs, 2 singletons for convenience. Okay, then we have 4 hydrogens. Let's do those another color. Okay, so we have 1 more hydrogen. We can't put it, you can't hook it up with carbon because there's no more singletons left. We have a singleton on the oxygen. Okay, so there are no more singletons left. So now we go ahead and look at whether this is a legal structure or not. By the way, this is methanol, which is called wood alcohol, and you will know this for test 1 because what test 1 covers alcohols. Okay, okay, is this a legal structure? Okay, octet for oxygen. Okay, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's 8. That includes the pairs now, even though they're non-bonding. So oxygen's good. Carbon's got 2, 4, 6, 8. Hydrogen's got 2, 2, 2, 2. So this is legal. Carbon has 4 bonds. It needs 4 bonds. Oxygen needs 2 bonds. 2 bonds. Hydrogen's 1 bond around. Okay, so now when it's legal, throw in the lines. So that's your Lewis structure for methanol. Okay, does this process differ than how you learned it in 305?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, not too much.
In other words, pretty much the same.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I don't want to confuse you by using a totally different technique. Okay, so all you need to do in these is practice. Now, one thing about organic chemistry I alluded to a little while ago, a few minutes ago, is if we look at something like okay, this is hexanol. You know, if we just drew out the structure really fast, it would look like this. Let's see. 6 carbons. Okay, that's a lot of hydrogens. So there's a shorthand way to do that. Okay, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it, you're going to be using exclusively in this class, is the line version. Okay, so to do a line structure, at the beginning of the line is a carbon. At the end of the line is another carbon with an associated number of hydrogens. And every time there is a kink in the line, that's carbon as well. So let's apply that to this guy here. Okay, we've got the backbone, talk a lot about that on Wednesday, as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons. So we're going to start with a carbon, we're going to end with a carbon, and how many kinks are we going to have in the line? Don't everyone answer at once now. Okay, so
So then
1
4 for each of the carbons.
exactly. Each carbon is 1, and then we have 6 total. So 6 minus 2 is 4. That's the extent of the math we're having in this class. So we need 4 kinks, a beginning and an end. So we start, it's carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 kinks, beginning, end. Now you can start from left to right or right to left. We'll talk about that a lot on Wednesday. And we need an OH in there. And that's attached to carbon number 6. So this is the line drawing version of that.
My bad.
Much-
I kidding you. Sorry.
Much simpler. So what was the question?
No, I was just saying sorry because I got kicked out because my internet. I'm just joining back.
Oh, okay. Isn't technology wonderful? Okay, are there any questions about converting from this carbon hydrogen bit to the line version?
So we don't have to label anything on the line version, like all the carbons.
Yeah, because the carbons we know, there's one in the beginning and at the end, and every time there's a kink, there's a carbon there. Notice there's no hydrogens, right? We know carbon has 4 bonds. So look at this carbon here. That carbon has 4 bonds, right? One is carbon-carbon, carbon-carbon, and then the 2 left over is hydrogen. Here, this carbon here. One is carbon, and then we've got 3 left over, so there are 3 hydrogens. That's why doing Lewis structure is important, because when you go to line drawings, you need to know that. So you can also do this like this also. Because we're going to see structures can be freely rotated in space. All 4 of those are the same molecule. All we've done is rotate them in space. Okay, molecules do a bunch of different movements. One is translational from one location to another, like I've drawn here. Also, they all vibrate, unless we're at absolute 0. All of them vibrate as well. And there's different kinds of vibration. There's wagging, and there's also stretching, contraction, movement, all kinds. Those are called modalities of movement, or movement modalities. Okay, the main thing I'm trying to get here is doing this. Now, your Dry Lab 1 does a lot of this stuff. You're going to be naming, you're going to be drawing line drawings, and that'll correspond to the lectures. Okay, so Dry Lab 0 worksheet, there are a number of them. Okay, there's this one, which is a good one to start with because all the valence stuff is at the top. Okay, so here we've got some practice. Let me do this one here. Okay, we have H2CO2. Now, this happens to be what is it? Formic acid. Formic acid has got a funny story as to how it was discovered. And let me tell you that. Some of you will like it, and some of you may go, Ferguson, you're getting off track. There was a chemist, and he had a son. His son was very mischievous. And one day he found his son had a bucket of ants, red ants, and he was boiling them in water. And his father was horrified, that bad, whatever. And his father decided to analyze the water that the ants were boiling in. And he found there was an acid in there. The acid was formic acid, which is this guy here. And he found that when red ants sting you, they inject formic acid into the wound. That's why it burns so much. But this is the simplest acid. Okay, so let's look at what it looks like. Okay, we've got carbon in the middle. And we have 2 oxygens. And 2 hydrogens. Okay, so that's step 1. Now we're going to hook up singletons. Okay, we got one there, one there, one here, and one here. Do we have any singletons left over? Unbonded?
Yes, both of the oxygens have one single
Exactly.
lone pair.
Exactly. So we're going to move the pairs around so it's more convenient. Because otherwise we'd have to go like this to hook it up. It's kind of a ugly looking stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to move, let's make this a pair up here, and then have the singleton there. So it's more convenient. So these two now are going to hook up. Okay, that's one version of the structure. Now, with Lewis structures, you can have alternate structures with the same formula. And then if you have 2 legal structures with the same formula, then as a chemist, you need to figure out which is the real one and which is not. And that as a chemist, then you do further testing, and the testing will show you what is more compatible with the structure. Okay, this happens to be a peroxide, not an acid. That's legal structure though. So let's draw another version of this. And it helps to have a pencil and a big white eraser. Okay, so let's do the oxygens in the same place. And let's put the oxygens or the hydrogens over on the right side this time. Okay, so let's hook these up now. Well, we can do this. And let's make this. Okay, and then we have a problem though. Got two singletons unbonded. Now, if we were to bond these internally, how many electrons is carbon sharing now? We have 2, 4, 6 only. So carbon needs 4 bonds, not 3. So let's take this guy. And let's take this guy out also. Now, let's bind the 2 electrons from the oxygen to the carbon. That'll give carbon an extra bond that way. So we're going to move the singleton there. And we're going to put the hydrogen over here. Okay, so carbon now has 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds. Oxygen's got 2. Oxygen's got 2 in the bottom. So that's the legal structure. Because the other one only had carbon bonding 3 times. Now there are exceptions. For example, carbon monoxide bonds with itself, but those are rarities, not the norm. And this is what formic acid looks like. So if we were to draw line structures representing that, it would look like this. And we're going to find when we study the acids chapter, this is the part that makes an organic acid. And over here, let's do the line structure for this guy. That's an H. And this is the peroxide part. So these are the 2 legal structures for that formula. And we would do tests. I would take this liquid and is it act like an acid? If it does act like an acid, then this would be the formula. If it didn't act like an acid, then this would be the formula. That'd be just simple check with pH paper. Okay, now if you remember how to do these, great. You can whip through this dry lab really quick. If you need practice, there's a lot of practice here. Now, if you'd like more practice, I have lots of extra stuff. my feeling is students like worksheets, not digital stuff. So over the years, I've collected worksheets. I have quite a few of them actually. And if we go back to Canvas, that's not the right Canvas. That's another Canvas. Why is it doing this? Okay, so this is our Canvas class. If you go to Files, Unit 1, there's more practice here and more practice here. These are all worksheets with answers. Now, I learn with doing lots of repetition. Other people learn with less repetition. They're more of a savant. I am definitely not a savant. With me, sweat means I learn it. That means I got to do lots of practice problems. Playing music, I memorize very poorly. So I have to have the sheet music in front of me to play something usually. I know very few songs by heart. And again, I have to play the song over and over and over again to learn it. So if you're that kind of learner, I have practices for you. I do this in all my classes, whether it's 400, 401, 306 is going to be for 305 if they really intend to have me teach it in the spring, and 300. All those have lots of worksheets, additional ones. Not required, additional ones. Okay, so that's Dry Lab 0. You're going to be doing, practicing a number of those low structures. And I give you the answers also. You're saying, Ferguson, why are you giving us the answers? I said, because I want to make sure if you're doing them on your own, you know you got the right answer or not. Because the purpose of Dry Labs is to help you learn the material. Because the basic goal is doing well on tests. So everyone should get 10 points out of 10 on Dry Lab 1 and 0, unless you don't want 10 points. Okay, so does that make sense in terms of doing Lewis structures?
Yeah, think so.
Okay, so let's go on to the third topic now. Third topic was, how do you do a normal, not first day session? Okay, it's going to be in 3 parts. First thing you do is you're going to download the slides for that lecture. Where are the slides? You need to go to Files in Canvas, Unit 1, and here are the slides for Unit 1. So we have 3 lectures with alkanes, alkenes, and alcohols for Unit 1. So for Wednesday, one, you need to download these and print them. I would suggest printing them in black and white and 2 per page, or 4 per page, depending on, try it both ways and see which you find is better. And that's number 1. Number 2, does everyone understand where the slides are located? They're in Canvas files by unit. And then there's a subfolder called files or slides. Okay, once you've located the slides, downloaded them, printed them. It's important to print them, by the way, because you're going to be taking notes on them. So next thing is you need to go over to modules, where all the videos are located. And where are those located? Those are located in Unit 1. Click on one that says Unit 1 Alkanes. Unit 1 Alkanes. These are all past semesters. Let's take this one, for example. What it's going to do, you click on the link, and it's going to go to YouTube of the video. And there I am in all my glory. Okay, and this is okay, so you're going to go through this. And you're going to okay, so what you're going to do is you download the slide, print it, and then find a video on that topic and go through that video and take notes. On Wednesday, I'm going to go through the alkane slide as well. So what the value in this process is, you're going to pinpoint all the areas that confuse you. And then during my lecture on Wednesday, you can ask me questions specifically about that. If you don't do that, everything's going to be brand new for you on Wednesday, and you're not going to know what's difficult and what's not. By doing it this way, you will predetermine what's going to be confusing for you as the learner. And then you can focus questions when I cover that aspect on Wednesday. That's what my email was meant to say, that process. Okay, so you find the topic, go to slides, download it, print it, find the video that matches that, view it, take notes, and then come to class with those notes. And you're going to refine those notes as I lecture that day. Now you're going to find a ton of material in this class. There's a lot of material. And you're going to, it's a very different class than 305. Good or bad? I think it's good. This is my favorite class. So for me, I get real excited about this class. Okay, are there any questions about that process?
I had a question. Instead of printing everything out, are we able to download it? Like if we have an iPad, can we download it and then annotate it that way?
Oh, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, either, yeah, for sure. And then when you take notes, you look at your annotated slide on your iPad, and then continue taking notes or clarifying. Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that process make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, the beauty of me recording all my lectures is we can do this. If I didn't record the lectures, I couldn't do this. And I found over the years, I've been teaching this class at various schools for almost 20 years. And I know this material really, really well. And this is the most successful technique for most students. Some students find it very tedious and not necessary. Those are the people that learn very easily. I also have, on the day I review Unit 1, I'm going to have a practice test for you that I gave last semester. So you'll see how long the test is, how I ask questions. I'll show you what I'm looking for and the answers. So you should have a complete picture for each unit. The last Unit 5 is pure biochem, and it's not as it's not structured like the other 4 units at all. But it's the most interesting also, because it shows you what happens to carbohydrates in your body. and how you create energy from your carbohydrates. It also shows you the regulation steps that our bodies go through to regulate when you need ATP, when you don't need ATP, how fat's stored, how fat is utilized if you need it, how glycogen is stored if and how it's utilized when you need it for energy now. It's real interesting. Anyway, okay, so that's the process. So you have 3 of those to do, one for alkanes, one for alkenes, one for alcohols. Okay. How are we doing?
Professor, to clarification, on Wednesday when we go to lab, what do you want us to have prepared on the first day?
Lab 0.
Lab 0, okay. And if I can't get access to Canvas since I just added today, what should I do?
You should have access. If you add it today, you'll have access today.
Okay, perfect. Thank
At
you.
least it's here. We timed it and it was 5 minutes.
Okay, because I keep checking and I still don't have access. So,
Send me a message.
okay, thank you.
And
You're
I
gonna
think
have to
I-
log out of your Canvas and log back in, and it'll put you in. It's because you're still logged into the same.
Thank you.
Completely log out and then log back in, and you'll be added.
Thanks. I just did that. It's still not working. But I'll do it again. I'll try.
Yes, schools all do it time-wise differently. Some schools, it doesn't have until midnight of the day you add the class. In other schools, it's done automatically. And I don't understand why they don't do it
Yeah, at
automatically.
Sac State, it took 3 days. So I'm just kind of trying to get used to Los Rios.
3 days.
Yeah, I know it's kind of crazy.
It is crazy, yeah. I used to be an IT director for a school district in Pacifica, and certain things happen extremely fast and are easy to implement. Other things have a lot of manual work you have to do. That must be the case at Sac State because it shouldn't be that big. Like Sierra does it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I wish it was easier, but it always took forever.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Right. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to cover today. So today for lab, bring either electronically or a printout of Dry Lab 0, and we'll work on that together. Or you can do that at home and then download the alkanes slide and watch the video on it, take notes. And that's going to be basically our process. The only thing that's going to differ is when we are on test day. Test day, the lecture before the test is going to be review. And then the day of the test, we're going to take it in lab. So we're going to have a Monday lab and a Wednesday lab version of the test. Won't be the same. It'll be very, very similar, but not the same. So, what do you guys think?
I do have a question. Do we need should we have 2 different notebooks, one for lab and one for the the note taking process and the stuff we do here?
Yeah, I would recommend you can have your lab notebook. It can be electronic too, by the way. For the person with the iPad, you can do it electronically. I don't have a problem at all with that. But you have to handwrite it though. So on your application on your iPad, make sure you can handwrite the procedure out and the purpose and the title and all that stuff. You can also, a student asked me Saturday, can they do it in cursive? Because I say print it out. And I said, oh yeah, you can do it in cursive. That's a funny question. Anyway, so you can have 2 notebooks if you want. You can, but one has to be, the lab one has to be bound, like a comp book, has to be bound. And the other one can be spiral, anything you want, or electronic as well. So, did that answer your question?
I think so. So is it okay to have it in the same notebook? Let's say it is a composition notebook. Can I have it in the same one, or do you just prefer it
No,
separate?
you won't have enough room.
Okay, okay,
You have
perfect.
to buy another one anyway, if you're
Okay,
doing.
thank you.
Professor, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Today for the dry lab, if we don't get there right at 3, are we still allowed to come like a little bit later to do the lab work or?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Even if you get there at like 3:30, is that okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
thanks.
Now, if no one shows up, I'm gonna leave. So if you're coming late and no one's there, that means no one showed up and I left. Because I have nothing to do. And I don't have any tests to grade. Nothing to do. So I will leave. So just make sure you understand that if you're coming late. Or if you're coming late, text me so I know. So how are we doing? Is this class starting to make more sense?
Yeah, I think for myself and the other people that were waitlisted and then just added and are having trouble with Canvas stuff, like once that's all figured out, I think we're good as well. But yeah, I think everything's going all right.
Yeah. Most people really like this class, particularly after they get rolling in it. Because the labs are fun. There's a lot of color, you're doing a lot of stuff. And there's not a lot of heavy duty math that half the people don't understand it. It's just it is a very nice class. I just really, those are the reasons I really enjoy teaching it. And a lot of people don't like this class to teach. They go, there's too many little memory stuff in it. And I sidestep that by giving you a flow chart. And the flow chart shows you the flow of the reactions. Like if you want to make this alkene, what do you start with? You start with an alcohol, and or if you want an acid, or you start with an aldehyde, whatever. And it's all in the flow chart. And I give you that for the test. So there's memory, but there's not as much as it could be. Because you're not going to remember all this stuff a week after the class is over, but you will remember the labs when you made soap and you distilled orange peels to get the distillate of the orange citrus, the smell and flavor. You will remember all that stuff. When you make aspirin, you'll remember making it. And so there's a lot of applications in this course that you'll remember, not the specifics. Like in 305, you did the electronic configuration, the 1S2, the 2S2, the 2P6, all that stuff. You know how useful that is? Because you guys are in an allied health strand, you're never going to see that again. So why spend tons of time memorizing some of that stuff? I give you an easy way to remember it. So that if you want to do it, it's so much easier than memorizing some of that stuff in the textbook. So let's see what everyone's chat. Where can I see the Okay, Andrea says, where can I see the day I have lab? You're either Monday or Wednesday, depending on what section you signed up for when you enrolled in the class. It would either be on a Monday or on a Wednesday. We have lecture both days. Just lab is dependent on which section you signed up for. Does that make sense?
See, someone else was
Gina.
asking about the two notebooks.
I'm sorry, say again?
Oh, nothing. I was just reading the chat.
Oh,
And
okay.
they figured out their lab date as well.
Oh, okay. That's a different person though. Okay, dry labs, you do not need your lab coats. You don't need your goggles. You don't need your fancy shoes. Just show up. Wet lab is when you need all that stuff. Because dry labs, there's no chemicals out, except for 305 chemicals, but no chemicals for our class. No, that's not acceptable lab notebook because it's spiral bound. It's got to be, let's see, who asked me this?
It was me, Professor. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice notebook, but they standardize on all the lab notebooks in the department. The fact that every school I've worked at, they standardize on. Occasionally you'll get classes like 305 that just do the worksheets and they don't do anything formal. Those are all different, but the standard classes like 400, 401, 306. I do this even when I teach 300. And everyone goes, why do you have them go through that? I said, because that's a prep class. You're gonna take another chemistry class. They need to understand how to do it. And a lot of particularly the new teachers, some of them have never taught before. And they don't understand the pedagogy involved in a prep class involved with. But anyway. Kaylee, you need a composition notebook for lab only. You can have a spiral one if you want for lecture, or you can have another composition book for lecture, or you can have your tablet, electronically. So does that make sense? The composition notebook is specific for lab. Okay, good. I'm reading your chats here. Lab coats you need by when we do the first lab, the alcohol lab. And if you look on the lab schedule, you can see when we're doing that. And the purpose of lab coats is to protect you, protect your clothes, and to protect your flesh. You want both protected. I have two lab coats. I have an old one that that it's kind of a funny story. It's about 10 years old, and so there's holes in it from spilled acid and various things. And one student said, "Oh, I can patch this up for you." So she took it home, and then I didn't have a lab coat, so I ended up with a new one that I'm wearing now, which is much more vibrant colors. When I was comparing the old one and the new one, man, the colors really faded over 10 years. And so I carry the old one as a spare. So if you forget your lab coat one day, you can wear my old one because I carry it with me, and it's a large too, so it should fit most of you. Okay, regarding Handwrite Lab Zero, that's the best way to do it. And you can do it. You do it totally electronically. If you download it as a PDF, then you want to edit the PDF. And it helps if you can draw on your screen. Depends on what your laptop or your tablet is capable of. But yeah, that should be fine. But you do need to save it out afterwards as a PDF though, because you have to upload that. Yes, you can have the labs digitally. Now, the problem is labs for Unit 1 are already digital, but the rest of the labs are not digital. So if you want to digitize them, they have to be handwritten. So you can't just copy them out of your lab packet. You can actually, you still have to transpose it over to the digital form because wet labs have to be handwritten. Does that make sense, Elena? Okay, Kaylee, as far as the organization goes, you need a table of contents and then all the pages numbered. And you're going to start a new lab on a new page. And you're going to write only on one side, unless you're doing digitally. But if you're doing it on a lab notebook paper, you need to write it only on one side, not both. And the first page has to be table of contents, and then all your pages are going to be numbered. Yeah. Is it The Tran? How do you pronounce your first name? Are you still on? T, okay. Are you Vietnamese? I really like Vietnamese food. I cook a lot, so. Okay. And you like to cook? Yeah, I like to cook a lot. There's a lot of chemistry and biochemistry in cooking. Okay, if no one has any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'll be uploading this video to modules. All module videos have three things: the unit number, title, and a date. Now you can also look at this stuff on my YouTube channel. There are, close to, I think, 400 videos on there, and it's organized by date and title. So wet lab only, Kaylee. Egg rolls around. My Google speaker just talked to me.
I'd love to talk to you. How's your day going?
Oh my.
Talk to me again. Okay, ready?
You know what always makes me feel better on good or bad days?
See, the system is always listening.
Music.
I have a quick question.
The bad days a little better. If you want, I can sing you a song, or if you're in the mood for something specific, you can say something like, play uplifting music.
Hold on a second. Hey, Google, cancel.
Will
Okay.
will for the test, will you allow the periodic table printout or no?
You're not going to need your periodic table. If you want one, you can use your own. That's not a problem. I'm going to give you a flow chart. Let me show you what that looks like. If you open up Lab 1, and it looks like this. No, that's not it. This is the flow chart I'm going to give you. This is all you really need. So for example, if you're trying to make an alcohol, you start with an alkene and then a water and sulfuric acid solution. We'll be using this extensively, this flow chart. And I'll have one for units 1 through 4. Is that your question? Or similar to it?
Yes, it's the unit one, like the reactions printout that's at the beginning of the dry lab one.
Yeah, it's the first page of Dry Lab 1.
Professor, I am on the wait list and I would like to join the class.
Have I given you an ad number yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, do you want Wednesday or Monday?
Wednesday is fine.
Okay. Okay, the number is 361260.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Professor, I was just seeing if you saw my message for exams. Are we allowed to use a note card, or are the exams going to be pretty easy in terms?
Most of the time, students don't need a note card if they have the
Okay.
flow chart. They have the flow chart.
Okay, perfect. I was just wondering. Thank you.
Yes, you may leave. Okay, the dry lab is located. Go to Canvas. You go to Canvas. And then you go to Files, Lab Related, and it'll say Dry Lab 0. Where is that?
Professor, it looked like the second one from the top, Chem 306
Oh,
dry
yeah.
lab.
Yeah. I should rename that. There, easier to find out. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. Dry Lab 0. Are you gonna do it in the lab or are you gonna do it at home? Does that help? Gina, are you still online?
Yes, I am.
Where is that taken, that picture?
Oh, it was on the top of Mount Fuji in Japan. I
Oh,
climbed
cool.
it in 2019 is when I was on deployment in Japan.
I used to backpack a ton when I was younger. Desolation Valley, I used to go to a lot. Mokelumne
Oh, nice.
Wilderness area, both summer and winter camping.
Oh,
And
yeah, same. I'm gonna scout my whole life, and then when I joined the army, I was like, oh, I get to backpack for a job. Okay.
I'm a veteran too. I was in the Air Force during
Oh,
the
Air
Vietnam
Force, I'm
War.
Army.
Yeah, very few vets are on staff.
Oh,
Very,
really?
yeah.
I think I only met one other vet, and he was after my nutrition class spring of this year. I don't remember. He was also Army. He was also airborne. That's all I remember. I think he taught like a nutrition class as well.
Yeah, I was in a special deal. I My dad was a recruiter for the Air Force, and when I was a junior in high school, he came into me and he said, "Do you like swamps?" And I went, "What do you mean?" Because he's worked with the draft board every day, and he said the draft board is drafting 45,000 people a day because they needed numbers up because of the Tet Offensive in Vietnam. And I said, "Well, no." He says, "You need to join the reserves or Air Guard." And so I did. And then as I was taking off, I graduated high school. As I was taking off for basic training, they activated my unit.
Oh,
So
dang.
so I was in avionics though, because I was a ham operator, so I knew electronics really well. And so they had me stationed at McClellan at the end of the runway. Our shop was located there, and we used to do the super secret stuff. C-130 would fly in, and their back end would be closed and sealed shut, and they'd have all this fancy electronic equipment in the back there where the cargo normally goes. And the reason why they came there is something wasn't working, and we had to fix it, but we couldn't know what we were fixing. They had everything covered with paper because it was only on a need-to-know basis.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that the funnest part when everything is need to know? And it's like, well, how am I supposed to do anything if it's need to know? I had a top secret clearance in the Army, so I got away with a lot of stuff, but I was also medical. I was special operations medical for like 6.5, 7 years active, and then I did the rest of my reserve time.
Yeah, I had they would cut a hole for the on-off switch in the paper, and it usually didn't work. So I had it, and everything was modularized. So I'd pull out a module and see if I could get it to work. If I got it to work, I knew the module was bad. If there was no change, and then I went to the next module in the chain. And I was able to get almost everything working that way. And so I had a scope. I would check the signal along the way, the module same way. And between just powering the modules and checking with the signal strength with a scope, I could fix everything I didn't know what it was. It was really silly.
Oh, dang. That sounds like a fun job, though. Even though it seems silly, it seems like a really fun job.
You know, it was fun in another way too, is we would be slammed 24/7 for like a week. We get like 10 planes in, and it was like 24/7. I had to sleep there at the shop and everything. And then after that, I didn't have anything to do for like a month. So I got a degree.
Best part about the Army, man. You got a lot of free time when you need it, not a lot of free time when you don't.
It depends on what you're doing though, too. My job was just really weird because it was all that secret stuff, and we didn't get access to the secret stuff. Only when the plane was down, it flew in. And the reason why I was at McClellan because it was a logistics base, and they fix everything there. Um, they have a radar unit in there that a plane can roll into, and then not a radar, an X-ray machine. A plane can roll into this X-ray machine is that big. Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, everything was wildly complicated and big there. It was kind of a cool place to work.
Oh yeah. I got to like when I was overseas a lot for a lot of my tours, for a lot of my duty stations and seeing all the different medical equipment and all the other junk that every country has. I was like, whoa, this is nice. Why don't we have it?
Yeah, or yeah, it varies a lot. Even in this country, it varies. You go to the some of these rural areas, you go to the hospital there, it is like weird.
They have
It
nothing.
well, it isn't so much that it's procedurally. Like
Oh yeah.
a friend of mine, his wife fell and messed up her she smacked the back of her head, and they're worried about a mild concussion and all this stuff. He was bleeding like heck. This was like at 11 o'clock at night. So they took ambulance over to the hospital. This is up by Fort Bragg, and it was a little bitty hospital. And her husband sat in the waiting room for like 4 hours, and he kept telling someone, "I need status on my wife." And they said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Never came out. And then he got real pushy. He was an MP in the army, so he's
Oof.
really into kind of control stuff. And so he finally found someone. It was a custodian that was able to go in the back and get someone to come out and give him a status. But it was like, at hospitals around here, there's no way that would happen. I mean, they have their challenges too, but man, and that's hospital in the United States. So,
Oh yeah. I mean, I when I was in Australia, I was stationed in Australia for a little bit. They have the craziest medications and how they do their procedural rollings and their triage. It's so much more advanced than what we do here. And I've been in emergency medicine for like 10 years.
wow. Yeah, I'm wondering how much of that's being cut back right now.
Oh, lots.
It's amazing.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had a question. Another question.
Yeah.
Can you show us again where we find the videos to watch for the lectures?
Oh, okay. It's going to be on in Canvas. And you're going to go to modules. And you're going to go down to Unit 1. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, Unit 1. And this is where all the videos are. So they're by unit, title, and date. So you're going to be doing alkenes for Wednesday. So you find an alkane one. This is one. Here's another one. Any of these will be fine. Alkanes, any of those alkanes I just pointed to will work. And it works with a slide that you download from files. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. And then you said we're just watching the alkanes ones for Wednesday?
Yeah, we're going to do a subject per day. So
Okay.
first we do alkanes, then the next lecture we do alkenes, then the next lecture after that we do alcohols, then we do a unit 1 review, and then we have a test.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just to clarify for myself or anyone else, it's just we can choose from any of the Unit 1 alkanes or watch all the alkane videos.
Don't watch all of them. Choose one. Doesn't matter which one.
Okay.
I mean, you're welcome to look at them all, but that's, crazy amount of time. And they're going to use the same slide, probably with the same annotation. So, yeah, just choose one. It doesn't matter which one.
Back about Japan, I actually know that I'm gonna be out of town. I think because I don't have the syllabus on me, but I did take a picture. Nice job on Mount Fuji, by the way. That's on my list next.
Oh, it's really easy. Don't let anyone tell you that it's hard because I had a bunch of Marines cry baby to me like it's so hard now to crawl on my hands and knees. And it's like a 5 to 8 hour ascent on the Blue Trail, and I did it in like 3 hours. Like
Oh.
them babies.
Yeah, I did Mount Whitney when I was 16, so a decade ago or so. And
Yeah.
that was rough. That was a 1 day.
I did Denali as well when I was stationed in Alaska, and that was rough.
I bet.
Woo! Did that
Ridiculous.
4 years ago, and that was probably one of the craziest climbs I've ever done.
Damn. Good stuff. I know I'll be gone during one of the wet labs as well as one of the tests. I can, I guess, talk to you more in our own session to figure that out if we need to do that, but I just wanted to bring it up so that you're aware.
Yeah, the tests we can do either another day or an online version if need be. In the wet lab, that's a problem. Are you going to be gone the whole week?
Yeah, I'll be gone. Yes.
Okay. So you
It'll
can't
be
come
like,
on,
it'll
you
be
can't come on
the,
another day then.
yeah, I would be gone the 27th and 29th for those wet labs, 7 and 8B.
So you'd miss one wet lab?
Yeah, it looks like there's two. It says wet lab 7, synthesis of aspirin, and wet lab number 8B, acid equivalence of aspirin analysis.
Yeah, that's a 2-day lab. Well,
I could talk to you more about it on Wednesday
yeah,
in
one thing
person.
one thing we could do is you could do some extra credit.
Mhm.
In
I'll make the
lab.
best lab coat you've ever seen.
Well, see, that'll take care of one of them.
Yeah.
And then that lab, see, I wrote the second one, the acid equivalent part. That's not been done at this school until I came. And so it's sort of not as important as the first one. We actually synthesize and purify the aspirin. So so the lab coat could go for that one. And the other one, because it's part of that lab, we can let that one slide. So as long as you do extra credit lab coat, I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
And
Sweet.
then on the regarding the test, we can work that out too.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Like I said, I just want to let you know early.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. I am gonna head out then. Thank you for the first session for the enrollment code. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, cool. All right. Are there any other questions, you guys?
I don't think so, Professor. Thanks again. It's been great first day.
Yeah. First days are always kind of weird.
Oh yeah, especially because it's like my third class of the day.
This is your third class today?
Yeah, I start at like 9. I have 10 minutes between each class.
Was it in person?
Yeah, they're in person. So like me and another person in this class, we both are taking soccer 10 minutes, I think 10 or 20 minutes before this class starts. And so me and her were like, yo, we'll just sit in the car and listen to it on like Zoom in our headphones as we drive home.
Well, that works. That's what's nice about Zoom.
Yeah.
And also what's nice is I record it too, so you don't have to sit and take notes. You can just listen.
Okay, awesome.
You know, one student I had last fall, she would not take any notes while I was lecturing. She would take notes watching the video afterwards. She just said, I can really focus on what you're saying if I'm not taking notes, which is an interesting technique.
It's very true though.
But this process I talked about earlier, where you download the slides and then you watch the video, that does a lot of the same thing. So
okay.
You can really focus on what I'm talking about during the presentation.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so do you have lab today?
I don't. I think my lab is on Wednesday. But I might switch to Monday.
Okay, if you're going to do that, don't do it officially.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's going to cost you money.
Oh no, they already paid for that.
Because you've got to drop this class.
Oh, gotta drop this one and add the other one.
Exactly.
Oh,
And
it's a lot of work.
it's a pain. Just I'll have room. It's not a problem. Just come to Monday.
Okay, okay. I was because sometimes like I did 305 in the summertime, and so we had lab. Lab was available like Monday through Thursday, and she allowed us like if you can't make it to one lab, you can go to another lab just in case. But a lot of times she said she didn't care if you had a lab partner or not. Dr. Was a Professor Nasiri. I loved her. She was amazing. She teaches a hard class, but it was really good.
How did 305? You had 4 different lab or
It was we had Monday, Wednesday lab and Tuesday, Thursday lab, but because we had lecture all 4 days and lab was after, we only had it twice a week, but she said that you can come to any of the lab days as long as you'll make it up. She allowed us to pick any of the lab days.
Yeah, the only problem with wet labs though is they pick up the lab after the second day. They pick up the lab, so
Yeah.
the lab stuff isn't there if you wanted to come a little later.
Oh yeah.
That's the problem with wet labs. Because I had the same issue up at Sierra. We had 4 days of lecture, 2 days of lab.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
same deal, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
It just sounds like a lot of people have Wednesday lab and it gets kind of cluttered in those rooms when there's a lot of people. So,
Well, our class is pretty well divided though.
divided? Okay. Then never mind. Then I might stay on Wednesday.
Well, just check it out. Because again,
Yeah.
you can just start going to Monday. You go to the first wet lab and you go, I don't think so. Just next on the following week, go to the Monday one.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Professor. I appreciate it.
Okay, so at that point, I'm going to sign off. And because I need to run over and get my parking pass. It's already 2:00, so I'm driving in from Natomas, so it's not too bad. All right, it was good talking to you, everyone, and it was a good first day. And you guys should like this class. Most students do. And if they don't like it, they drop it. So you only hear from the people that stay.
Thanks, Professor. It's been great.
Okay, all right, you guys take care.
You too. All right, bye.